Assalamu alaikum dear students. This is Department of English, Government Postgraduate College Attic. I am Nasir Ali Shah. Students, we are reading the text of the novel The Old Man in the Sea, written by Ernest Hemingway. We have read so far that the old man Santiago had been unsuccessful for 84 days in catching any fish. On the 85th day, he gets up very early in the morning, even in the darkness of the morning, and goes out to wake the boy up. The boy, young Manuelin, who had been with him, and they both have strong emotional attachment. The boy looks good care of the old man, and the old man also loves and likes him just like his own son. They both go to the old man's shack, pick up the gear which the old man needed for hunting the fish, and go to the shore. And after keeping all those things and stuff in the old man's skiff, they push the skiff into the water, and the boy bids him good luck. The old man is very confident on this 85th day. Despite his long failure of 84 days, he is not disappointed, he is not disheartened, he did not lose heart. He is yet resolute, and he has strong willpower, and he is hopeful. Very early in the morning, in the darkness, he has decided to go out very far out into the sea, even in the deep sea. While rowing his boat, before the light of the morning came, in the darkness he was rowing his boat, he expresses some philosophical thoughts about the fish, especially about the flying fish, the sound of which he hears in the darkness, as he was unable to see them because it was still dark. He thinks about them, that they are his principal friends on the sea, because he had been alone in his boat for a long time. Moreover, he expresses his pity about the young, small, delicate birds which come there in search of food or in search of some small fish. They were always searching and always trying to find some fish, but they were unable, and they were too delicately made as compared to the cruel and strong and powerful world of the ocean. In the end, he expresses his thoughts about the sea itself. He always thought about the sea as la mar in Spanish language, which is a feminine word which is generally used for a woman, whereas some other young fishermen think about the sea as el mar, which is a masculine word which is used. So these are his philosophical thoughts. Today we are to start reading the text from here. He was rowing steadily, and it was no effort for him, since he kept well within his speed, and the surface of the ocean was flat except for the occasional swirls of the current. He was rowing his boat steadily, continuously, without making an effort, because it was not proving hard work or tiring hard work for him. He did not have to make any effort to row his boat, because he kept well within his speed, means he was not trying to move too quickly or too fast into the waves of the sea. And the surface of the ocean was flat. When the surface of the ocean or the water level is flat, it means that the rowing of a boat is quite easy. If there is some strong wind blowing, or in the storm, when there is a storm in the sea, the rowing of the boat becomes very difficult. But On that particular morning, the surface of the ocean was very flat and smooth, and it did not take him to make a great effort, and he was rowing his boat very steadily and easily. Surface of the ocean was flat, means smooth, or without the rise and fall of the waves in the sea, except for the occasional swirls of the current. Except on sometimes at some places there are swirls of the current, of the flow of the water. Swirl mean round and circular movement of the water. He was letting the current do a third of his work. It means that he was deliberately not trying to work very hard in order to save his energy, and he was letting the current. He was letting the current. Current mean current of the flow of water, movement of the waves of the sea. Uh, he was trying to drift his boat on the flow of the water instead of having to row it himself with strong movement of the oars. As it started to be light, he saw he was already further out than he had hoped to be at this hour. When the morning rose, or the light of the morning appeared, when he was able to see clearly around him, he noticed that he was already further out, I mean he was already very far out from the ocean, far out from the shore of the sea into the ocean than he had hoped to be at this time of the day. I worked the deep wells for a week and did nothing, he thought. Then he thinks that I have been trying to hunt the fish in the area which is called deep wells, because there is a certain deep depth of water in the sea that is called deep well. But the old man remembers his unlucky period. He says that he had been working there for a week, but did nothing, means he wasn't able to catch any fish. Today I will work out where the schools of Bonita and Albacore are, and maybe there will be a big one with them. But today he thinks that on this day, on the 85th day, he has decided that he is going to work, or he is going to search for fish where is a concentration or gathering of small fish which are called Bonita and Albacore. These are the names of fish, generally small sized fish. And he thinks that he should go there where those small Bonita and Albacore are, and definitely in order to eat those small fish, definitely there would be some great or big fish around them which he wanted to catch. Before it was really light, he had his bats out. Before the sun appeared from the east, he had his bats out, which he had to use on his hooks to catch a big fish, and was drifting with the current. Still, he was rowing or drifting his boat with the flow of the water. One bat was down 40 fathoms. Now, after taking out his bats, he put those bats on his hooks and tied them with a line and threw them into the water. One bat was down at 40 fathom. Fathom is measurement of the depth of water. It is around 6 foot measure of the depth of water. So it means that one bat was down 40 fathom. If we multiply 40 with 6, it makes 240 feet of depth. So one bat was down at 40 fathoms, the second was at 75, and the third and fourth were down in the blue water at 100 and 125 fathoms. 125 fathoms. So it shows his preparation for the hunting of a big fish on the 85th day. He was making his preparation, and he put down 4 different hooks along with the bats on them at different depths of the water, so that at any level in the depth of the sea, if there is a big fish, he would be able to catch it and hook it uh, so that he could be successful. Each bat hung head down with the shank of the hook inside the bat fish. Shank is the curved part of the hook. So each bat which he threw into the water, it hung head down with the shank of the hook inside the bat fish, tied and sewed solid. It was tied strongly and neatly, and all the projecting means coming out of that fish, coming out of the bat, projecting part of the hook, that the curve and the point was covered with fresh sardines. Means those big hooks were covered with the bats and sardines and other small fish, so that if any big fish comes there into the depth of water to eat those fish, it could be easily caught up in the hook. Each sardine was hooked through both eyes so that they made a half garland on the projecting steel. So these sardines, which were tied on the hook or sewed on the hook, it made just like a half garland on the projecting steel. A garland is just like an ornament which is worn around the neck, just like a necklace, which is called necklace, uh, in a loopy shape, hanging downwards. There was no part of the hook that the great fish could feel which was not sweet smelling and good tasting. The old man he took great care that no part of the big hook could be visible or perceptible by the big fish if it comes there to eat those bat or sardines which he had tied on the hook. Uh, he had tied those bats and sardines on the hook in such a manner that the hook itself was covered with all those sardines and bats, and it wasn't visible or perceptible for the big fish, in order to befool the big fish and so that it could be caught with the hook easily. Students, this is enough for today's lecture. We shall continue reading the text in our next lecture.